How do you wash a tint off? Well, first, before we show you how, we're going to talk about why it's important to do it really well. So part one of our services is to provide tints for people's hair. People pay a lot of money to come here. So we need to make sure that it's washed off thoroughly and properly, because otherwise they're going to feel like they're not getting good value for money. You know, they're coming here for like our expertise, and if we can't wash it off correctly, it's not going to feel good for them. They're not going to feel like they've got good value for money. We don't want to see the client scrubbing their own head at the end of the service. So it's very important that we get all of that colour out. It could really be enough for a complaint, you know, if it drips down their back and gets on their clothes, or if it's over their ears and then they put their jacket on afterwards. You know, it's really not good enough for the price point that we're at here at DK UK. And also, as an apprentice and as an assistant, it's very important that we do that on behalf of the stylists, because it costs the business a lot of money if the stylist is sitting around waiting for the tint to develop. So then we can't afford to have apprentices. The whole point of having apprentices is you're bringing in money, so that supporting the stylist so that they can do something else while the colour's developing. So it's a real cornerstone, and it's one of the more difficult things we're going to do at the backwash. So we're going to do it whenever we're asked, and who is going to do it is whoever's also asked. And the tools that we need are some gloves, some cotton wool, and some tint remover, and a disposable towel, which are just behind me here. So first thing we're going to do is sit our client in the chair as usual, and we're just going to make sure that all the hair is up into the sink. There's nothing tucked there behind. So this is where people go wrong. So what I want you to do is just follow what I'm doing pretty closely. As an apprentice, I used to spend weeks just doing washing colours off and doing blow dries, which is a really good way to learn. So I'm very good at this, even though I'm not a colourist myself. So first thing we're going to do is just put a little bit of water on. That's all you need, just enough to sort of loosen it up, because you can see as the tint's been sat on, it's gone quite dry. So then we're now going to use our friction technique to really just loosen up the colour all the way around the hairline. Now the trick with this is tint removes tint. Shampoo locks it on. So we need to get all the tint off the head everywhere before we go anywhere near it with the shampoo. We're not going to be washing the tint off with the shampoo. So that's the first kind of misconception. So we're starting at the hairline. So the front and the back hairline are like the hardest bits. So we're just taking our finger with the glove and we're just rubbing the tint, and you can see, I'm hoping it's going to wash off the plastic. Yeah, it does. We're just rubbing it all the way around here, and I'm rubbing it into the skin, and that's really helping to remove all of that. Same through the back and on the ear, and then we're going to just lift the head up and do the same here. So we just lift it up slowly. Yeah, so I'm doing the same down there, just rubbing all that. And the tint is removing the tint, we're just rubbing the tint into itself. So now we've got it all sort of loosened up. I'm going to start with the water, fairly high pressure, as much as we can get without splashing. And now, using the pressure of the water and the friction technique that we covered in the shampoo to really get as much off this back area as we can. I'm keeping their skin pressed in the gel here. And yeah, as I said before, we used to have terrible pressure and it took ages. Like, in retrospect, I can't even understand how we managed to get tints off, because it used to just be like that, honestly. Especially, and then someone else would turn the tap on it and go like that. So now we've got so much power, just as much as you can get away with. And you see, it's just doing the work now, because we've loosened it all up, it should just come off. Full disclosure, this is a toner rather than a tint, so this is slightly easier to wash off. So the darker the colours are, the harder they are. So I've got as much as I can off from the back, just using the water pressure, and then now the same technique, I'm just washing my finger, cupping around their ear, and I'm just letting that fill with water and scraping it off, maintaining as much pressure as I can as I do that. See, I'm just letting the water bubble up and then pulling, so really keeping that pressure on as I drag that back. Now, just a little rub like that is going to loosen that through, and then do the same again. And then same here. And you want to be fairly quick. What happens at the beginning is it's quite difficult, and you end up leaving a lot of colour down here. You can see you make quite a mess while you're actually taking it off, and if you don't get that off quickly, it can start to stain the skin. So there is a bit of haste needed. So same on this side now, and we're aiming to do this in 15 minutes. That's 7 minutes for your shampoo and 7 minutes to get all this bit off, which is pretty tight, but it can be done. Okay, so I've done about as well as I can there. So now what I'm going to do is attempt the back. So I'm going to get my towel, and we're going to keep that pushed. Now there's a bit of a trick to this with your clients. So our sinks here have this gel in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say to my client, right, I'm going to wash the back off now. I know this is a bit awkward, but what I need you to do is lift your head up, because at the moment they're relaxed. So now they're going to lift their head up. If we can just get the angle, it's going to be like that, and push it back into the gel. And now, as long as you're pushing it into the gel, you're not going to get wet. So that's what I'm saying to them. And so they know what the crack is. And I'm acknowledging that they're not very comfortable. I'm just going to say, I'm going to do this as quickly as I can, and I really appreciate your help. So I've really got the pressure turned up higher now. I know that that's a seal. So then I'm just going in, and I'm just kind of getting my finger and letting that water slop around a bit. Getting in on that side. Got my apron in, getting the camera wet. And I've done as much as I can. I've already rubbed it, right? So now we're just trying to rinse as much of that off as we can. And then quickly, I'm grabbing this towel, and I'm just going to wet it slightly, and then lift the head up and just catch as much as I can and wipe that. And then I'm wiping like up, and you're going to see a bit of colour on there. That's good. And then I'm just going to then go around all their hairline. Now I've got the towel as much off as I can. Ding, ding, ding. In their ears, give it a bit of a wash. So we've not used, all we used is water and the towel so far. So now I'm going to check, and there's still going to be some left. So then I'm going to repeat that again. So I'm going to, okay, so now just push your head back into the bowl. Thank you. I know that's not very comfortable, but I've just got to get right in there. I don't want to leave any hair, any tint on your head. And same again, just using the pressure, turn that up a bit as much as I can. It's pushed in. They're like using all their core muscles and everything. And then towel again, lift the head up and catch all that water, anything that's going, dry them off a bit, make sure they're okay. And you're just going to keep doing that until this towel's clean. And then you're going to like pick their head up again, and you're going to pick it up. Check what's going on underneath. It's quite physical. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. There's not really much there anymore. Fantastic. So then I'm going to get my tint remover. Notice no shampoo still yet. So we've got a bit of cotton wool and the tint remover. This is for any stubborn bits. So some colours, I don't know, it's to do with the pigment. Some colours come off really easy. This is a toner, so it's a bit lighter. It's come off quite easily, but there may still be some around here. So now I've got the tint remover, and I'm pressing on quite hard here. And I'm going into their hairline a bit as well, because you're going to get a line like where the hair is, and we want to soften that if we can. But certainly we don't want nothing like here or here. Behind their ears, there's going to be something there. And same one again, you're pressing quite hard and you say, is that pressure okay? I know I'm rubbing quite hard here. You just acknowledge that, and you go, yeah, that's fine. You go, okay, because I've got to rub a bit harder. But it's just about communication, and it's a bit awkward again when you first start, because you're kind of thinking about so many different things at the same time. And then we're going to just lift their head up and do the same underneath. Going to go down, coming into the hairline a bit till that's all really clean. then I'm going to do another rinse. So again, just checking this. Don't forget about the crown as well, because often that can get forgotten about. So just give that a good rub. And then same again. You see, you've still got some bubbles there, so there's still something left on there. So now pressure up a bit more. Obviously we've checked that the client is okay with the temperature of the water as well. So hand on, finger press down. And there's not much left here. What I tend to do is I take my gloves off now. This is totally personal choice, you don't have to take your gloves off, but once they're off then I can kind of feel what's happening. And then I can sort of touch it and feel it, and I know that there's nothing there then. So, and you've got your finger pressure just to rinse that back. Same on the other side. And then I'll probably do just one more check. I'm going to look around the hairline. That's all good. I'm going to look in the back, sit their head right forward and really get down under there, and I'm going to touch all that with my finger, check all their hairline, and that is all looking good. So that is how you remove a tint. Then we're just going to shampoo and condition as normal. So really separate tint removal and shampoo. The shampoo has nothing to do with getting the tint off.